So, a coaching agreement needs to cover 6 things before a client ever says yes: what you deliver, how long it runs, what your client has to do, your main policies, your fees, and how they sign. Put those on one page in plain language. And you have a coaching agreement your clients will actually read and agree to. I am a coach, and I learned this the messy way after a client, and I remembered our arrangement completely differently 3 sessions in. In this video, I am going to walk you through exactly what to include, item by item, so you can copy it straight into a template today. And there is one item most coaches leave out entirely, even though it is the one that protects you legally. I will get to that near the end. Let me clear up one thing fast, because it trips everyone up. Your agreement and your contract are not the same document. The agreement is the short, friendly summary you send your client, usually right after a discovery call. The contract is the longer legal document they sign. The agreement gets everyone on the same page in plain words. The contract is the thing that holds up if something ever goes wrong. You want both, and I will show you what goes in each. So here's the first item on your agreement checklist, and it is the one that sets the tone for everything else. It is the scope of what you offer. This is where you describe exactly what your client is getting. Spell out the number of sessions, how long each session runs, the format, whether that is video calls or in person or messages between calls, and the outcome you are working toward together. Do not just write the word coaching. Coaching on its own tells your client nothing. Something like 6 60-minute video sessions over 12 weeks plus message support in between. That tells them precisely what they are paying for. Be specific here, and half your future misunderstandings just disappear. The second item is your timeline, and this one is quietly the most important. You need to set an expiry date for the sessions in your package. I know that feels a little uncomfortable, but hear me out. If your sessions never expire, clients drift. They lose momentum, they go quiet for 2 months, and you end up with a backlog of unfinished packages that blocks you from taking on new paying clients. So, set a clear window. Say the sessions must be used within, for example, 4 months, and agree on how often you will meet. While you're at it, list your working hours so your client knows when you are actually available. I set all of this up on Paperbell, where I can build custom packages and let clients only book inside the hours I actually work. The third item is your client's responsibilities, and skipping this is why so many coaching relationships quietly fail. Coaching only works if your client shows up and does the work between sessions, so tell them in advance exactly what you expect. That might be filling out an intake form before you start, or spending an hour or 2 a week on assignments and reflection. A lot of coaches never define this, and then they are frustrated when a busy client treats the sessions like a casual chat with no real commitment. Put the expectation in writing, and you both know what showing up actually looks like. Now, if you are finding this useful, the next 3 items are where most agreements get sloppy, so stay with me. The fourth item is a plain language summary of your key policies. Your full contract will spell these out in detail, but your agreement should highlight the ones your client needs to know up front. The big one is your cancellation and rescheduling policy. State your notice window, something like 24 hours, what counts as a missed session, and whether a missed session is forfeited or rescheduled. Add your termination policy too, so everyone knows how the relationship can end. Translate the legal language into everyday words here. This is a preview for your client, not the fine print. The fifth item is your fees, and this is simpler than people make it. At minimum, state the total cost of your program. You do not need to break it down by session or by hour if you sell a package with a set outcome. Just name the total, and then, and this part really matters, state when payment is due. I always ask for payment up front or in installments tied to milestones. It keeps clients committed, and it saves you from chasing money later. Paperbell handles this side for me because payment comes first at checkout, which means a client pays for their package before any sessions get booked. No awkward money conversations ever. The sixth item is the next steps, which is really just telling your client how to say yes. Make this stupidly easy. The harder it is to sign up, the more likely a ready client cools off before they commit. What I do is send one single link. On that page, my client reads the contract, signs it, pays, and books their first session, all in one go without me lifting a finger. Everything after that, their profile, my notes, their payments, and the signed contract, lives in one place I can pull up years later. That single link is the whole reason I stopped losing clients in the gap between yes and paid. So that is your client-facing agreement. 6 items on one page. But remember, I said the agreement sits on top of a contract. Let me show you what actually goes into that contract, because this is where you protect yourself, and this is the part most coaches rush. A solid coaching contract is shorter than you would expect. You are looking at roughly 14 clauses. I will not read all 14 like a phone book, but here are the ones that carry the weight. 1. Your parties and start date, so it is clear who is agreeing and when. 2. Your services and program length, which is the enforceable version of that scope item from earlier. 3. Your fees, payment terms, and refund stance, stated plainly. And if you do not give refunds once a program starts, say exactly that. 4. Your cancellation policy. 5. Your confidentiality terms, with the narrow exceptions where you might have to share something, like a court order. 6. Who owns the worksheets and recordings you create, which is you. And 7. A cap on your liability, so a client takes responsibility for their own decisions. Now here is the item I promised at the start, the one most coaches leave out, and it is the single most important clause in the whole document. It is a plain statement that coaching is not therapy, not counseling, not medical or psychiatric care. This is the most skipped clause, and it is the exact one that gets coaches sued. If you work anywhere near health, money, relationships, or wellness, you write clearly that coaching is not a substitute for professional care, and that your client agrees to seek qualified help for those needs. Do not treat this as optional. That one sentence is what stands between you and a client who blames their coach for a decision that was always theirs to make. A few more clauses round it out. A termination clause covering how either side can end things early. A pause policy, because life happens and a client might need a break, and a clear pause option beats a refund every time. Media consent, so if you ever want to use a client's story or results in your marketing, you have that permission in writing. And finally, the housekeeping, meaning your governing law, how disputes get handled, and a line saying this document is the whole agreement. So a casual message later does not quietly override it. While we are here, let me flag what not to put in your agreement, because the wrong clause is just as risky as a missing one. Never guarantee outcomes. You cannot promise a client will lose weight or land a job, and promising it is both unethical and legally risky. Never write a contract with no way out for the client. Never sneak in a clause that lets you change fees or terms whenever you feel like it. And never hide an automatic renewal. The honest test is simple. Would you sign this agreement if you were the client? If the answer is no, then fix it. One last thing that matters more than any single clause. Get it signed before the first paid session. After a free discovery call is fine, but before any paid work, always. You have a few ways to do this. You can email a PDF and chase the signature, which is slow and easy for a client to forget. You can use a separate signing tool, which is one more login and one more monthly bill. Or you can use a platform where signing is built right into the checkout, so the client signs and pays in the same step, and you never chase anything. That is the approach I use, and it is the reason a signed contract is always sitting in my account before a client shows up. So that is what to include in your coaching agreement, from the 6 items on the client page to the clauses in the contract underneath it. If you want to set this up the easy way, I build my packages, load my contract, and take signatures and payment all in one place on Paperbell. You can try it for free, and the link is in the description. Go write your agreement this week, because the version that actually exists is worth 100 times the perfect one still stuck in your head.